Welcome to the show. We prepared a custom-tailored deep dive specifically for you today, and we are diving straight into the mechanics of where our digital infrastructure is heading.
Yeah, glad to be here. It's a massive topic.
It really is.
Yeah.
Our mission today is to explore the absolute bleeding edge of digital safety. We're looking really closely at the future of data security in the age of AI.
Right.
And we're drawing from this really fascinating piece of source material. It's titled Data Security in the Age of AI, Future Defense and Protection Strategies.
It's a great paper. Really dense, but incredibly important.
Definitely. And the baseline premise here, the hook that really got me, is that it completely reorients how we need to think about networks entirely.
How so?
Well, the source outlines that we are rapidly entering what they call a hyperdata universe.
Yes, the scale shift.
Exactly. I mean, we're moving away from an internet where humans are the primary data generators. Within just the next few years, the vast majority of data production won't even be us.
Right, it's not going to be people typing emails or uploading photos.
No, it's going to be driven by billions of IoT devices, Internet of Things, and autonomous AI agents communicating directly with one another.
Machine to machine.
Yeah. We're talking about a landscape where urban traffic grids, industrial sensors, and thousands of unseen AI instances are generating terabytes of telemetry data every single second.
And that volume, that sheer volume, is exactly why we're at a breaking point right now.
It's too much.
It is. Because of that exponential growth in autonomous data generation, the traditional perimeter-based security methods we've relied on for decades.
The old firewalls.
Right. Firewalls, static access controls, they are becoming entirely inadequate. We're looking at a future where security basically has to completely shed its old skin.
It can't just be an update.
No, it's not a matter of pushing a software patch or, buying a slightly better antivirus.
Right.
The fundamental architecture of defense has to transform, both technologically and legally. It has to handle an ecosystem where data is constantly in motion and generated at machine speed.
Okay, let's unpack this. The source actually divides this whole transformation into three main areas.
Right.
And the first focused heavily on the technological arsenal required to secure this hyperdata universe.
The tools.
Exactly. The initial massive shift the text points out is that future data protection isn't just about safely storing data anymore.
Storing is the easy part.
Yeah, encrypting a hard drive or locking down a server farm, that's just table stakes now. The real challenge and the future focus is protecting data while it's actively being processed.
Which is historically where the biggest vulnerability lies.
Right, because traditional encryption protects data at rest and data in transit. But the moment you need a processor to actually run an analysis,
Or execute a query.
right, execute a query on that data, you have to decrypt it in the system's memory.
And the second it's decrypted, it's vulnerable, it's open to memory scraping or unauthorized access.
But the source points to a structural solution for this, which is homomorphic encryption.
Yes, homomorphic encryption.
And the math behind this has always sounded a bit like science fiction to me, but it's finally becoming viable.
It is incredibly computationally heavy, but yes, it's arriving.
It essentially allows a system to perform complex operations on encrypted data without ever needing the decryption key.
Which is wild when you think about it.
It's totally wild.
Yeah.
The text gives a highly practical example of this regarding healthcare, which really helped me visualize it.
Oh, a diagnostic AI example.
Yeah. Imagine you have a specialized AI model analyze your highly sensitive encrypted health data.
Okay.
The model processes the ciphertext, it runs its diagnostics, and then it outputs a medical diagnosis that is also encrypted.
Right, so the AI model itself never actually sees your raw, unencrypted information.
Never. Only you hold the private key to decrypt that final diagnosis.
It fundamentally breaks the trade-off between utility and privacy. You get all the analytical power of advanced AI models like precision medicine or complex financial modeling without ever exposing your raw data to the cloud provider.
Which is huge for privacy.
Massive. The compute overhead for homomorphic encryption has been the bottleneck, but as processing power scales, it's going to become a foundational layer of our infrastructure.
But encryption isn't just evolving for privacy, right? The text makes it clear it's evolving for survival.
What's fascinating here is the looming shadow of quantum computers.
The quantum threat. It feels like the industry has been talking about it for years, but the timeline is really rapidly compressing.
It is, and the implications are severe. Quantum computers operate on entirely different principles of physics. They utilize qubits that can exist in multiple states at once.
Right, rather than just ones and zeros.
Exactly. This allows them to run specific algorithms, like Shor's algorithm, that can easily shatter our current public key cryptography.
Meaning things like RSA.
Right, algorithms like RSA, which protect everything from global banking infrastructure to secure communications, they could theoretically be broken in minutes by a cryptographically relevant quantum computer.
And the urgency isn't just about a hypothetical computer being built 10 years from now.
No, not at all.
The source touches on this harvest now, decrypt later strategy, which is terrifying.
It's a very real threat vector today.
State-sponsored actors and syndicates are actively scooping up petabytes of encrypted traffic right now. They're just sitting on massive data lakes of our encrypted communications.
Just waiting.
Yeah, waiting for a viable quantum computer to come online so they can retroactively unlock all of it.
Precisely. Which is why the text highlights the urgent global shift toward post-quantum cryptography, or PQC.
PQC.
Yes, these are mathematically complex lattice-based algorithms that are considered quantum resistant.
But rolling that out has to be a nightmare.
Rolling out PQC across the entire global internet is a monumental logistical challenge, but it's going to become the new standard.
We essentially have to upgrade the locks on every digital door before adversaries get their hands on a quantum skeleton key.
That's exactly it. It's an arms race. Plain simple.
And speaking of arms races, the source dives deeply into the reality of AI versus AI cyber warfare.
Oh, this is where it gets incredibly fast-paced.
It points out that as cyber attacks are increasingly accelerated, automated, and dynamically mutated by malicious AI, human defense mechanisms are practically obsolete.
They are too slow.
A human security operations center cannot analyze and respond to an attack propagating at the speed of light.
It's mathematically impossible.
So defense, by necessity, has to be handed over to AI.
It's the only viable response. We are transitioning to AI-supported autonomous defense systems.
How do those work in practice?
Well, these systems don't wait for a human analyst to approve a firewall rule. They rely on continuous anomaly detection.
Just constantly watching the network.
Right. By establishing a deep, multidimensional baseline of what normal network traffic and user behavior looks like, they can spot irregular microdeviations in mere milliseconds.
Milliseconds.
Yes. When they detect a zero-day exploit or a lateral movement attempt, they automatically isolate the threat and apply their own security patches in real time. It is a self-healing network architecture.
But wait, handing over the keys to an autonomous defense AI raises a really big question for me.
I think I know where you're going with this.
If the AI is aggressively quarantining anything it flags as an anomaly, doesn't that risk massive operational disruptions?
The false positive problem.
Right. What happens when a self-healing network gets a false positive and accidentally shuts down a hospital's internal routing?
That is the exact friction point security architects are wrestling with right now. The source notes that these autonomous systems have to be incredibly sophisticated to balance security with availability.
They can't just be a blunt instrument.
Exactly. They don't just pull the plug on the whole network. They use microsegmentation to isolate the specific affected node while keeping the rest of the infrastructure running smoothly.
That makes sense.
But beyond the operational defense, there's the underlying challenge of how we actually train these security AIs. Or really any AI for that matter.
Because they need so much data.
They require massive data sets, which brings up a really clever privacy workaround from the text, which is synthetic data.
Now, I want to push back on this concept a bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
The text explains that instead of training an AI on massive data sets of real personal data like millions of actual credit card transactions to spot fraud developers, we'll use synthetic data.
Yes, statistical clones.
Right, clones that retain the mathematical properties of the original data set, but aren't tied to any actual human beings.
Correct.
But if the AI is training on manufactured data, doesn't that degrade its real-world accuracy? I mean, how does a fraud detection system learn to catch the bizarre, messy anomalies of real human behavior if it's fed synthetic perfection?
That is a great question, but I think the misunderstanding is that synthetic data isn't just about smoothing out the rough edges to make perfect data.
No, it's not.
No, high-quality synthetic data preserves the complex covariance matrices and statistical distributions of the original data set, and that includes the outliers and the anomalies.
So it keeps the weird stuff.
It maps the relationships between variables mathematically. For example, the correlation between the time of a transaction, the location, and the amount. And then it generates new, entirely artificial data points that exhibit those exact same complex relationships.
So the neural network still learns the exact behavioral fingerprints of fraud.
Yes.
But there is zero risk of an actual person's credit card number or purchase history being exposed during a breach of the training environment.
Exactly. The people in the data set literally do not exist, which completely sidesteps the privacy compliance nightmare of hoarding real user data while still allowing the AI models to achieve really high efficacy.
Wow. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, especially for you listening right now.
Yes, the personal application.
Section 2 of the source material pivots entirely away from these massive macro-level tech systems and focuses strictly on the micro level.
Individual responsibility.
Yes. It outlines how you are going to need to build your own digital fortress.
It's a great metaphor.
The text emphasizes that in a hyperdata future, your personal data literacy won't just be an IT concept. It is going to be a fundamental survival skill.
Just as crucial as locking the physical doors to your home.
Exactly. It demands a complete mindset shift from the end user. The source introduces a stark guiding principle here. Every piece of data is a risk potential.
We have to stop hoarding.
Right. For the last 2 decades, the internet has incentivized digital hoarding. We have freely handed over granular location data, contact lists, and browsing habits for minor app conveniences.
Just clicking accept on everything.
Yes. Moving forward, the baseline strategy is data minimization.
And the source outlines very pragmatic steps for you to implement this in your daily life.
It means aggressively auditing and refusing unnecessary app permissions.
Right. If a basic utility app demands access to your microphone and your real-time location, you have to view that as an active risk potential and deny it.
It also strongly advises routinely scrubbing your digital footprint,
Active maintenance.
actively hunting down and deleting dormant accounts, and using automated services to pull your data off data broker registries.
But the true paradigm shift in personal data management highlighted in the text is decentralized ID.
Yes, let's talk about that, because that is a fundamental restructuring of digital identity.
It is. Currently, your personal data, your legal name, date of birth, home address, is stored in centralized honeypots controlled by large tech corporations or government agencies.
And you just have to trust them.
You rely on them to authenticate you. And when their servers are breached, your identity is compromised.
Right.
Decentralized identity shifts the architecture entirely. Instead of central authorities holding your data, your verified credentials will be stored locally in secure blockchain-based wallets that you cryptographically control.
And the specific example the source uses perfectly illustrates why this is so powerful. Let's say you need to access a service that strictly requires you to be over 18 years old.
A very common scenario.
Today, you're usually forced to upload a high-resolution scan of your driver's license.
Which is crazy when you think about it.
It is. You're handing over your home address, exact birth date, legal name, and physical characteristics just to satisfy a simple binary requirement.
Yes or no, are you over 18?
Right. With a decentralized ID, utilizing zero-knowledge proofs, you can cryptographically verify to the service provider that the statement, "I am over 18, is true.
Without handing over the ID itself.
Exactly, without exposing a single extraneous detail. The provider gets a mathematical guarantee of your age and absolutely nothing else.
It is data minimization engineered into the protocol itself. You share only the cryptographic proof required for the transaction.
And this philosophy ties directly into the evolution of authentication.
Oh, definitely. The source makes it abundantly clear that the era of the simple alphanumeric password is over.
Passwords are dead. We're moving fully toward advanced authentication.
Hardware-based security keys are becoming standard.
But the text delves into something much more complex, which blew my mind. Behavioral biometrics.
This is fascinating tech.
We're all familiar with physical biometrics, like fingerprint scanners or facial recognition. But behavioral biometrics continuously verify your identity based on the subconscious ways you physically interact with your hardware.
Because a password, or even a facial scan, only authenticates you at the exact moment of login.
Right.
Once the device is unlocked, a traditional system assumes whoever is holding it is still authorized. Behavioral biometrics provide continuous passive authentication in the background.
And the specific data points the text mentions are wild. Systems will verify your identity based on your unique typing cadence.
The microsecond intervals between your keystrokes.
Yes. They'll measure the exact physical angle at which you typically hold your phone using the accelerometer, or the specific pressure you apply to the touchscreen.
It builds a very precise physical profile.
So if you unlock your phone and someone snatches it out of your hand while you're walking, the system instantly detects the sudden shift in the device's angle,
The change in walking gait.
the unfamiliar typing rhythm. and it automatically locks the device down.
It is an incredibly robust layer of security because it is virtually impossible for an adversary to spoof your subconscious neuromuscular habits.
You can't fake how someone holds a phone.
No, you can't. However, while our devices might be highly adept at knowing who we are, the source issues a stark warning about our ability to know what is real online.
Especially concerning AI literacy and deepfakes.
Exactly. And this ties right back into data minimization. We have to be aggressively protective of our biometric footprint.
We really do.
The text reminds us that we need to think critically before uploading high-definition media of ourselves.
Every time you post a crystal clear vlog of your face from multiple angles, or a clean, isolated recording of your voice, you are voluntarily providing the exact training weights a malicious actor needs to synthesize your biometrics.
Building your digital fortress means treating your voice and your face as highly classified cryptographic keys.
Because in an era of automated synthesis, that is exactly what they are.
They absolutely are.
So we have the technological arsenal, and we have the framework for the individual's digital fortress. But the third section of the source material zooms out to look at the macro level.
How governments and legal frameworks have to adapt. If we connect this to the bigger picture, nation-states are facing a profound jurisdictional and legislative crisis.
The laws can't keep up.
The text explicitly points out that states can no longer rely on static laws. The traditional legislative process, which can take years of debate, drafting, and lobbying to pass a single bill, is structurally incompatible with an AI ecosystem that creates entirely new threat vectors every few weeks.
So what's the solution?
Governments are being forced to shift to dynamic governance models that can iterate alongside the technology.
One of the primary regulatory levers the source details is algorithmic transparency. We discussed how AI is going to be running our critical defense networks, which inevitably raises the question of oversight.
Who is watching the watchers?
Right. The text outlines the impending creation of independent algorithmic audit boards.
To forensically examine how companies are training their models.
Exactly, specifically looking at the provenance of their training data to ensure compliance.
And a massive component of this transparency mandate involves cracking down on black box algorithms.
Can you define a black box algorithm for us?
Sure. A black box system is a neural network where the inputs are known and the outputs are known, but the millions of internal weighted calculations that led to the decision are entirely opaque.
Often even to the engineers who design the model, right?
Exactly. The text strongly asserts that the deployment of black box algorithms will be strictly restricted in critical sectors.
Which makes perfect sense from a liability standpoint. You cannot have an unexplainable AI making triage decisions in an emergency room, determining criminal sentencing, or managing a municipal power grid.
The stakes are simply too high.
If the system makes a catastrophic error, or even if it just denies someone a mortgage, there has to be a mathematically auditable trail explaining exactly how it arrived at that specific outcome.
Accountability is key.
The source also highlights a major geopolitical shift occurring right now regarding data sovereignty.
Yes, data sovereignty. This is the legal assertion that data is subject to the laws and governance structures within the nation where it is collected.
Because for the early decades of the internet, data just flowed seamlessly across borders to whatever hyperscale server farm offered the lowest compute costs.
But nations are waking up to the reality that bulk data is a vital strategic resource.
It's the new oil.
Governments are rapidly tightening laws to demand that data generated by their citizens physically remain on servers within their national borders.
The text points to the European Union's GDPR and their recently implemented AI Act as the tip of the spear for this movement.
They really are setting the global standard.
They're essentially telling multinational corporations, if this data is generated within our borders, it stays under our legal jurisdiction, period.
It is a defensive posture to prevent foreign intelligence apparatuses or adversarial tech monopolies from strip mining a population's data without regulatory oversight.
And alongside controlling where data lives, states are moving to strictly regulate how synthesized data is presented to the public.
This is a massive logistical hurdle.
The source points out an upcoming regulatory mandate, mandatory watermarking. It will become legally required to embed a cryptographic digital watermark into all AI-generated content, text, audio, or video, proving its synthetic origin.
But the question is, how is that actually enforceable?
Exactly. If I'm running an open source image generation model locally on my own hardware in my basement, how does the government mandate a watermark?
That is the primary friction point for regulators. The enforcement will likely have to happen at the hardware or platform level.
So requiring social media networks and distribution channels to automatically scan for and verify cryptographic signatures before allowing content to be hosted.
Yes. The text frames this not just as a copyright issue, but as a critical safeguard to prevent automated mass deception and preserve a shared, verifiable reality in the public square.
But the most profound legal evolution mentioned in the text goes even deeper than that. We are looking at the codification of a digital Bill of Rights.
Profound societal shift.
The text argues that in a hyperdata universe, consumer protection laws just aren't enough anymore.
No.
Data access, and specifically the right to be forgotten, meaning the absolute right to demand that a platform permanently purge your data from their servers, will be elevated to a constitutional level.
It is the legal recognition that your digital identity is no longer just a byproduct of using a service.
It is a direct extension of your physical self.
And controlling it is a fundamental human right.
So what does this all mean?
When we aggregate all these shifts, the homomorphic encryption, the post-quantum algorithms, the decentralized IDs, the continuous behavioral biometrics, and the dynamic legal frameworks, they all converge on a single unifying architectural philosophy.
Which the source identifies in its conclusion.
Yes. Zero trust.
Zero trust. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot in corporate IT, but the source defines it as an absolute paradigm shift.
It is the complete deperimeterization of the network. We are entering an ecosystem where absolutely no person, no device, and no application is considered safe by default.
In legacy systems, if you manage to bypass the external firewall and log into the network, the system inherently trusted your lateral movements.
But in a true zero-trust architecture, trust is never assumed, regardless of location.
Right.
Every single transaction, every single API call, and every single request for data must be continuously verified, authenticated, and authorized.
Whether it's originating from an unknown IP address in another country or from the CEO's laptop plugged directly into the server room.
Trust nothing. Continuously verify everything.
And the text leaves us with a final, sobering warning. It stresses that the technological solutions we've explored, like deploying PQC and autonomous defense AI, and the societal solutions like deep data literacy and dynamic governance, they must advance neck and neck.
It is a highly fragile balancing act.
If the technology races forward while our legal frameworks and personal digital hygiene stagnate, the sheer abundance of data generated by AI will metastasize into an uncontrollable security nightmare.
The technology is providing the necessary defensive tools, but society has to provide the rigorous frameworks and the operational wisdom to deploy them effectively.
We have covered an immense amount of ground today, zooming out to the macro scale of quantum decryption and geopolitical data sovereignty, all the way down to the micro level of the precise angle you hold your phone.
A lot to process.
But before we sign off, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. This builds directly on the inherent tension between the zero-trust philosophy and behavioral biometrics.
Okay.
Think about the physical reality of this for a moment. If we are migrating to a strict zero-trust world, where your devices are constantly interrogating your identity based on highly specific micro-habits,
Right.
the exact millisecond cadence of your typing, the pressure of your thumbs, the subtle gyroscopic sway of how you hold your phone.
Yes.
What happens on a day when you are fundamentally not quite yourself?
Oh, that's an interesting point.
What happens if you severely sprain your wrist and are forced to type with your non-dominant hand? Or what if you receive a devastating piece of news, your adrenaline spikes, your hands are visibly shaking, and your physical movements completely deviate from your established biometric baseline?
A very real scenario.
Will your own highly secure, impenetrable digital fortress, operating on a ruthless zero-trust policy, lock you out of your banking, your communications, and your healthcare data during an emergency simply because you don't act exactly like you today?
Wow. How do we engineer rigid, mathematically perfect security that can still accommodate the messy, unpredictable reality of being human?
It's the ultimate paradox of this new era. It raises a profound question about where we ultimately draw the line between absolute security and fundamental accessibility.
It really does.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the future of data security. We hope you feel a bit more equipped to start building your own digital fortress. Stay curious, audit those app permissions, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening.